Right. So Destiny and Neve, give us a bit of a talk on was it challenges in entering the cybersecurity field, student perspective. I think that's a good thing to have and very appropriate given the talk we just had. So almost as if we planned it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Um, Good morning, everyone. My name's Destiny, and I'm a third-year student studying at the University of Exeter, doing computer science.
Good morning. Hi, I'm Neve. I'm also a student at the University of Exeter, and I'm also doing computer science. And today we're going to be talking about the challenges in entering the cybersecurity field, but from a student perspective. Students are not engaging with the cybersecurity field. Why is this? Well, there's a couple of different problems to consider. At the moment, students are struggling to engage with the field due to lacking that crucial initial knowledge, which makes the field appear more intimidating. Furthermore, free resources are often difficult to find, as most students who wish to enter the field will have little knowledge on who supplies the best resources and where you can find them. Furthermore, it's not uncommon for resources to be locked behind paywalls, which limits their accessibility to the average student. Furthermore, opportunities are often advertised on company websites and social media, which makes it more difficult to find if you don't have an adequate understanding of the sector and the companies within it. Following up, qualification requirements for each role really varies, and one's relevance will be dependent on each role type. Oh, sorry. It's quite rare for them to be university applicable outside of a degree. And following up from that, certificates are also really costly. They're usually only found on course and training websites, and these are really hard to stumble across, and even harder to identify which ones are valuable and worth your money. Finally, we're finding that the cybersecurity internship process can be quite complex to navigate, as most roles require some form of initial knowledge or experience. This unintentionally creates a barrier, as many students will try to use these roles to develop the knowledge. So it's quite difficult to get in if you can never get the knowledge to begin with.
So, what do we as students want? As students looking to work in cybersecurity, our university does not offer much information or resources about the field in our curriculum. For example, at Exeter, we only have one cybersecurity related module in year 2. Personal research can be time-consuming, daunting, and difficult to start for a full-time student. Full-time students may not have the time to spend hours doing research into cybersecurity, having to balance it alongside personal engagements, coursework, and exams. Furthermore, many cyber jobs require a copious amount of certificates, which often take months of study that students again simply do not have the time to work for. Entry-level jobs requiring less certifications are hard to find, but ideal for a student fresh out of university, as many graduating students will not own many certificates if they own any at all. Finally, resources on the interview process are scarce, and a guide explaining this process would be invaluable. As a student, there are not many resources on campus that help you prepare for interviews, despite it being an important stage in obtaining a job or internship.
Furthermore, there's a couple of additional barriers we don't tend to talk about. For instance, the gender divide in STEM. Female students are often not encouraged to pursue STEM subjects, which makes those first steps quite daunting to take on your own. Personally, I was overlooked in favour of my male peers in secondary school and college levels. Furthermore, following up from that, we found the field was never discussed outside male-dominated circles. It meant that we were at a disadvantage as we had to learn about the field through our own research.
Coding is also not encouraged to women. Outside of occasional computer science classes in the girls' school I attended, computer science was never really advertised as a potential career path. Teaching really matters. Some students will avoid a subject depending on teachers. As women, we are often not praised for our achievements, which meant that we lacked confidence in our abilities and would end up dropping out of computer science. For example, as I mentioned, I went to a girls' school and there was a significant drop in computer science participation after GCSEs. Many girls I knew that were interested in the subject opted to study more stereotypically feminine jobs, even though they had an interest. I knew someone who did English instead, but still spent most of her free time on game development. Specialized programs are often not advertised directly to students, so while they may be present, they may not always reach their intended audience. Furthermore, any programs that are not hosted by major companies may be hidden away in deeper corners of the internet. This again makes it harder for the target audience to find them.
So, how do we solve this problem? Well, we came up with a solution: a cyber repository. The cyber repository will contain cyber resources aimed at both staff and students. It offers surface level information that a typical student may be looking to learn more about, cyber may want, but it's gathered neatly in a single accessible place. Additional resources are also linked, so students are able to research further without having to go that far.
The cyber repository can be visited by all students. This includes students without a particular interest in cyber in hopes that they will gain more reason to look further into the field as a potential career option. For staff, it provides a good interface to build connections and share ideas for collaboration. And lastly, site owner contact details are posted on the homepage. So if cyber professionals want to advertise to students at the university, they can contact the owner and have their details posted to the site along with any opportunities they may be offering. Next, we're going to talk about the Power Apps, which are integrated web applications that we use to make our site more interactable. 3 pages of our website have a Power App that serve as the main feature of the web page. The first page that we would look at is the Cybersecurity Modules page, which lists all the cybersecurity-centered modules offered at the university, and they can be filtered by degree type, course type, and cyber category. We also use a Power App on the Cybersecurity Projects page, which is a list of all ongoing projects related to cyber at the university, filtered by project lead and degree type. And lastly, we use a Power App in the Academics in Cybersecurity page, which has a list of academics with a background in cyber at the university, and it's currently only filtered by cyborg expertise, but it can be expanded. Here's a demo of how the Power Apps currently function on the site. So as you can see, you can edit any projects that you've placed on the site yourself and save it if you have site owner permissions. And you can also delete any projects from the list. And here's the drop downs for filters. And you can also add your own project to the site as well.
Next, we're going to talk about another section called internships. The internship section was composed of several articles: internships, finding internships, applications, and interviews. The first article in a series focuses on explaining what internships are and how they benefit students, as there's a lot of myths about what do they do, what do they cover, are they actually useful? Yes. Furthermore, we also discuss how one might be able to find these internships, alongside what companies might offer cyber-related internships, and also how you could find one locally. We also cover the essentials of the application process and how one might respond to any confusing questions or little unusual bits of the process that you might not have known about initially. The final section covers the main questions asked in the interview and how to answer them, along with tips and tricks on that can help with passing an interview. You want to impress people, so it's useful to cover this.
Next, let's discuss the careers database available on the site, which contains a list of jobs one may have when working in the cyber field. The careers database provides an overview on careers in cyber. For each job, it provides a short description of what it entails, as well as the certifications and qualifications required, potential paths both advancing from and reaching to that job, and average salaries of the job. A Power App is also embedded into the web page, which filters the job by salary and from highest to lowest, and by career level, such as beginner, mid-level, and advanced.
So, we've talked so far about what our repository does, but what's our future plans? Well, in the future, we plan to expand the website to include more specific subfields so that students can be introduced to a greater variety of topics. Furthermore, we aim to create guides on the early steps of the field. So we'll include sections which will discuss commonly asked questions, guides on the certificates and their applicable roles, alongside a final section discussing how to apply for examinations and hopefully how to pass them.
It would also be ideal to create a space where staff and students can ask cyber-specific questions. This way, we can build a tight-knit community within the university focused on cyber, where everyone is free to discuss and distribute information about opportunities and collaborations, or share their experiences to those less integrated and encourage them to move into the field. Another feature we'd like to see is a space for networking between students and professionals. Students can then build relationships with members of the industry and maintain these connections for networking after they graduate. As someone without an English passport, a lot of cyber-specific opportunities, particularly internships or training programs in the UK, are not available to me, and often opportunities at private companies are more competitive. Without being able to access cyber training programs hosted by the government, it is difficult to compete for a position against those who are given the opportunity. Therefore, I personally believe that having a forum where students can get to know professionals in the industry will open up more options for those who are not eligible for these experiences, and may encourage non-English UK citizens to consider careers in cyber by giving them information about cyber jobs that are not hidden behind a passport check. Lastly, it would be useful to have a frequently updated page with links to job offers in cyber, filtered by certificates required and level of experience needed. Again, this makes finding opportunities much easier for a busy student, and with this information readily available at the click of a button, they may feel more inclined to, if not pursue, at least consider the field.
Thank you very much for listening. Does anyone have any questions?